And that right there draws an end to the 2024-25 Championship season. Where on earth do you begin to sum up that final day? Obviously, we've still got the playoffs to look forward to. We'll be previewing them later on. But the focus of today's video is obviously going to be on the final day. So if you were at any of these matches, you were watching them on TV, get all your thoughts in the comments down below. We've got so much to discuss today. Obviously, I was very intently watching the relegation battle with my team, Preston North End, involved. I feel like I've aged about 50 years in the last 2 hours, but we've got there in the end. Let's jump into what was a bonkers final day of action. So after all is said and done, this is how the Championship table has finished this season. We've had both Leeds United and Burnley finishing the campaign with 100 points, both of them winning this afternoon, but it is Leeds United clinching the Championship title thanks to their superior goal difference, so a big congratulations is in order for them. The playoff picture carried on, having twists and turns throughout the afternoon as well. We've had Coventry leapfrogging Bristol City into that 5th spot. It looked like an absolutely amazing atmosphere there at Cov at full time as they managed to get the better of Middlesbrough. Bristol City, while they could only draw with Preston, that was still enough to get them over the line and into the top 6 thanks to results elsewhere. And because neither Blackburn or Millwall could find a win, they've just missed out by 2 points in the end. In terms of the relegation battle, my oh my, where do we even start with this? Obviously, coming into this afternoon, we already knew that Cardiff were relegated. Plymouth had already been relegated practically as well. Gave a valiant effort against Leeds though, just lost it late on. But then it was really all to play for this final relegation spot. And my God, even when Luton were losing 5-3, my heart was still in my chest because, you know, had they got a couple of goals late on, that really could have shook things up in and around the bottom of the table. But we've got Luton going down on 49 points, Hull surviving thanks to goal difference, also finishing with 49 points. And then we've got Preston and Derby finishing 1 point above the relegation zone on 50 and Stoke on 51. I mean, if your team was involved in either of the relegation or promotion picture from this afternoon, what on earth have you made of all that? And we will start out by talking about the relegation picture, because I feel like that had my piqued interest as a Preston fan from this afternoon. And probably the most crucial game was actually this one at the Hawthorns, West Brom beating Luton 5-3. It's funny because going into this game, I said that Luton's potential Achilles heel in this match could have been their lack of firepower. The fact that despite being on this really good run recently, it's tended to take them quite a few shots before they actually get a goal, but in the end it was the opposite end of the pitch which ended up costing them. They scored 3 goals in this game, but to concede 5, the manner of which some of the goals came about as well was really disappointing. Bell in particular I thought really struggled up against fellows on his side. Kaminski didn't cover himself in glory for some of the goals off the top of my head, the first one in particular which snuck in at his near post. But full credit to West Brom, because I don't think many people whatsoever were giving them any sort of a chance coming into this game. How much their form had tailed off in recent months and the fact that they had nothing to play for, but they produced one of the best attacking displays I've seen of this season. Fellows was absolutely brilliant. Every time that I see Daryl DK from the start, I'm reminded of just how good he is as well, and it almost makes me a bit sad in a way of just wishing that he can get over these long-term injuries, because when he is fully fit, he can be a real handful for Championship defences, can't he? Styles was brilliant as well from his attacking output. But generally speaking, with how tight Luton have kept their games in recent weeks, I just did not see a scoreline like this come in whatsoever. I thought their undoing in this game, maybe, you know, a 1-0 loss or something like that. I did not see anything like that coming, but commiserations to Luton fans, because the upturn in form in these last few months has been massive, and that's why this relegation battle has been so interesting, because we've had so many upticks in form from those sides at the bottom. But if we look at Luton's entire season here in terms of results, I mean, the run up until February was absolutely dreadful, wasn't it, in terms of how much red is on here, and then the turnaround after that is obvious to see, but too little too late in the end, and consecutive relegations now for Luton. Obviously, thanks to that result, it meant that a point was enough for Hull to survive on the final day, and they did get the job done against Pompey. I'm sure Hull fans' hearts were in their mouths in the last 10 or so minutes of this game as well. I actually thought Hull started out this game really lively. They were definitely the side on the front foot, and got a deserved first goal after 18 minutes, Crooks putting them ahead. Really good equaliser though from Pompey, a smashing finish, I think it was into the near post, wasn't it? And Pompey clearly had a bit more about them in that second half as well. From a Hull perspective, I think obviously the news definitely filtered through that a point would be enough to keep them up, because I think they were sort of playing that way in the end, weren't they? But this relegation battle has not gone down like I thought, or like a lot of people really. All the sort of Championship experts, fellow YouTubers, podcasts that I've been listening to in the build-up to this week, pretty much everyone has had either Hull or Preston going down in that 22nd spot. I didn't listen to anyone who had Luton going down, so the fact that we've both survived, yeah, I don't think many people saw that coming whatsoever, but a big congratulations to Hull is in order. Then speaking of Preston North End, I mean, we still can't hold on to Leeds, can we? We were 2-0 up in this game and it finished 2-2, but a point in the end was enough to get over the line. I actually thought we played really well in this game. Certainly the best we played in quite a while, actually. We had that 1-goal lead going into half-time thanks to Emile Rees. Really well taken second goal as well. Ben Whiteman with a brilliant ball through from midfield and Osmajic latching onto it. But this period, this sort of 10-minute period of pressure that Bristol City had here, my God, my heart was in my mouth for that. Bristol City are a tough one to put your finger on, because when the crowd really gets up for it, they have those sort of neat passing combinations. They can be a really tidy side. They hit the crossbar during this period of pressure as well. Went close on quite a few occasions, but for the vast majority of the game, I was pretty underwhelmed by Bristol City, obviously. It's not the best run of form that they've got going into the playoffs now, with 2 defeats and now this draw against Preston. I think defensively especially, Bristol City in these recent matches have shown that they can be got at, but thanks to results elsewhere, a point was good enough for both teams in this one, so both fan bases can leave Ashton Gate happy at the end of that. From a Preston perspective, obviously I'm absolutely buzzing that we have survived in the Championship, but it really shouldn't have come to this position. I think while some of these players here definitely put in a big showing on this final day against Bristol City, I think a massive overhaul of this squad is needed in the summer to make sure we're not going to find ourselves in this position again. I mean, already we've got plenty of out-of-contract players who are going to be leaving. Even some of the ones who are under contract, I'd be looking to move on as well. It's just going to be a big job for Preston, but big congratulations to Bristol City. You have got in there by the skin of your teeth in the end into the playoffs. The other result that was obviously involving sides in and around this relegation battle was Derby against Stoke, and quite a few people did have this one down either as a goalless draw or a 1-1 draw, because a lot of us had theorised that a point was probably going to be enough for each of them. For Derby to be relegated and to have still picked up a point, a lot would have needed to have gone wrong for them, and Stoke knew coming into this game that a point was always going to be good enough for them as well. Definitely looked like it was Derby, the side who were a little bit more dominant in this one. They certainly had the better chances, but as he's been this season, Victor Johansson, Stoke's best player. So both Derby and Stoke will be playing Championship football next season as well. The big game revolving around the promotion picture was obviously this Coventry against Middlesbrough showdown. Borough knew coming into this one that nothing but a win would be good enough for them, but I think they were always going to be quite up against it. The form that Borough had coming into this game against a Coventry side who themselves have been limping over the line a little bit in recent weeks, but still really good at home. I think most of us were probably backing Cov for this game, weren't we? It was a Jack Rodoni brace in the end. One of the best midfielders in the Championship this season, certainly in terms of his output, goals and assists, created chances and things like that. The atmosphere at full time there, like I was saying before, looks absolutely immense. And now we have it confirmed who will be playing who in the playoffs as well. So it will be Coventry against Sunderland, and right now, I think a lot of people will probably be fancying Coventry's chances. Obviously, from a Sunderland perspective, they knew coming into this game against QPR that nothing was riding on it. You know, they were going to finish 4th regardless, but this has been an absolutely stinking run of form in recent weeks and months leading up to this playoff campaign. I know that in recent weeks as well, they have been tinkering with that side, bringing players in, players out, players have been playing different roles and things like that, but even still, this run of form can't be good for them. You know, regardless of the circumstances, 5 consecutive losses going into a playoff campaign, that's not good for anyone. In terms of the sides who just missed out on the top 6, Blackburn could only draw against Sheffield United. The dagger for Blackburn fans is the fact that it was technically in their hands thanks to Bristol City dropping points against Preston. Had Blackburn won this game, they would have indeed finished inside the top 6. It was always going to be quite a tall order to go to a place like Bramall Lane and win, despite Sheffield United not really having much to play for in this game. You know, their spot in third was confirmed regardless. Chris Wilder was never going to let his side down tools for this sort of end-of-season fixture, was it? And once again, it was a similar situation that Millwall found themselves in as well, thanks to Bristol City dropping points against Preston. Had Millwall gone to Turf Moor and won, they would have leapfrogged them and earned a place in the top 6. But like we were mentioning before with Blackburn, going away to Burnley and winning, that was always going to be a really tall order. Burnley undefeated at Turf Moor this season, playing for the title as well. And for a lot of this game, it looked like Burnley had the title in their hands, with Leeds obviously trailing at Plymouth for quite a lot of the afternoon. But Burnley got the job done in the end. A 100-point season from them is absolutely massive. Listen, it's always going to be a tall order to survive in the Premier League next season. But what Burnley have achieved this season, especially in terms of their defensive record, the ridiculous unbeaten run that they finished this season with as well, and not losing at home all season, that can only be commended. For Millwall, they have given this season a really good stab. You know, when they parted company with Neil Harris, it seemed like that club was at a real crossroads, and their season from that point onwards really could have gone in either direction, but Alex Neil's picked them up from that point, and you'd fancy him to, you know, try and have a good go of it next season as well, especially if he does get backed in the summer. But then the place to finish today's video off, I think it is only right to discuss Leeds United, who have won the Championship title, and in classic Leeds fashion, they did it the hard way, didn't they? Fell behind in this game, a Sam Barham own goal, and do you know what? This could have been a potential banana skin for Leeds, because say what you like about Plymouth, they've ended this season in really good form. Muclich has really got them boys fired up, especially at home, where they've had a really good record against the top sides in the Championship this season as well. But I mean, you can see here through their momentum bar, but Leeds really, it was one-way traffic, you know, 77% possession, 2.6 XG. A last-minute Manor Solomon goal. I'm sure the limbs in the away end were absolutely mental for Leeds as well. What I would say for Plymouth, though, is despite going down to League One, I'd give them a really good chance of bouncing back at the first time of asking if they can keep the majority of this squad together, and quite crucially, keep Muclich on board as well, because it feels like, weirdly, they're going into League One with quite a bit of wind in their sails and momentum behind them. A lot of the players have played in League One previously as well, so they already have that experience of the league, and you do hate to say it, but had Muclich been installed as the Plymouth manager from the start of the season, I definitely don't think they go down this year either, do they? But there's my quick sort of summary on this final day in the Championship. Obviously, there were a few more games going on that we didn't discuss but didn't really have much riding on it. What have you made of it all? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. It has absolutely mentally, physically drained me today, so I'm just happy that Preston have got over the line in the end, because I was going to be in a pit of depression had we not got the job done, but thankfully we have. So commiserations to Cardiff, Plymouth, and especially Luton fans who have gone down. Big congratulations to Bristol City and Coventry for getting over the line, and obviously Leeds United for wrapping up that league title as well. But both for Leeds and Burnley to finish on 100 points, that is absolutely massive. But that will wrap it up for today's video though, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.